Okay guys, I know we're a little bit late, but let's get this party on the road. Yes, I will. Honestly, I can start by giving you this mic if you like. You don't need to get my mic for me, Caitlin. Oh, she's such a gem. Okay, well, we have the wonderful Caitlin Glass, who has the other microphone. Hey! We're ready!
Oh, it works. Good.
Thank you guys.
Good. Hi, everybody! Yay! Who didn't come to the panel yesterday? All right, good. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. Love that. Who's running mic in the audience? Anybody?
That would be me.
Okay, she disappeared. Where'd she go? Okay, so I'm Caitlin. Hi. You know me from shows like Full Metal Alchemist, Ouran High School Host Club, Fairy Tail, Attack on Titan, One Piece, Danganronpa, blah-de-blah, etc., etc. So I just want to spend time talking about what you want to talk about. So if you have questions, raise your hand. And the lovely, it's Fiona?
Yes,
I remember.
Wow, it's like I'm famous.
Yeah, we'll come and bring the microphone to you, and like you can keep your hand up, so she'll go to the next person's question while I'm answering the current one. Make sense? Yay! Awesome. Oh, should I announce for you? If anyone is hearing impaired, they can come over here and receive interpretation, which is so cool. So questions, take it away. Who's got questions?
Oh, that right.
Front row.
When you did your roles, what was considered the most interesting that made you think twice, thinking, oh, okay, let's give it a go, and then you probably end up with fun of laughters and thinking at the same time, this was weird, I'm glad I did it.
Let's see. Strange, just kind of different voices. Usually those happen for characters that aren't around for very long, just bit parts. I'd be in doing a session for a normal character that I'm used to, and then the director would say, can you also be this person over here in the background? So it could be, oh, I know one. There's a show called Shin-Chan. Did you guys get Shin-Chan over here?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's ridiculous. It's one of the longest running shows in Japan. It's kind of like their Simpsons. It's not like the Simpsons, but it's this animated show that's been on for 20 years or something. So I play Shin's teacher, he's kindergarten teacher, so it's just my voice. So I did that for the day, and then they said, oh, we need someone to be this woman in a changing room, a dressing room in a department store. But this woman is very tall and very big. She's like a mountain of a woman. I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? And the engineer did some really cool stuff with, I don't even know how he did it. He used Pro Tools and did some rerouting so that I could speak into the microphone, but the voice I was hearing was extremely high-pitched. So high-pitched. And so it was my voice, but in my headphones coming back at me was like a tiny, tiny little bird voice. So they said, force your voice down to its low, natural place. So in doing that, they recorded me, but what I was really sounding like was like something way down there. But to my ears, it was just my natural self. So when they played it back for me, it was like something I'd never heard before, didn't know I could do. Because normally when you're recording, you're hearing yourself in the moment, and that's how you can get tripped up. Like you go, oh, is that what I sound like? Oh, that sounds terrible. Oh, that was a bad decision. But in this case, I just sounded so weird. I just had to go with it to get myself back to normal, what I thought was normal. And turns out it was super strange. It sounds like a real person though. Like when you listen to it, it doesn't sound like a weird monster lady or something. She sounds like a real woman, and that's the voice that would be coming out. And I never thought I could make a sound like that. So now you know. I don't know what episode it is. I don't know how to tell you how to find it. I'm changing room woman in Shin-Chan. Back here. I'll come over here so you can see me.
Hi.
Hi.
How did you get into acting or voice acting?
I got into acting in school. As most kids do, you have to perform in some production or other as a child. So I did that at church and at school. But then it was just something that I did for fun. In junior high school, I had friends that started doing theater and performing outside of school, so I wanted to do that just because it looked like a fun thing to do with friends. And then in high school, I pursued it more, did the school plays and stuff, that kind of thing. And when it came time for university, I decided that I wanted to study it because it's what I was the most interested in. So why would I pursue anything that I wasn't interested in? So I do have a degree in theater, and I got the job voice acting when I was 1 semester away from graduating, so it's just a few months shy of graduating. I took a tour of our studio of Funimation, and I met a director, and on the spot they had me audition, and then a few days later I had a job, just like that. It does not happen that way for everyone, but I do feel that my education had a lot to do with it, because at school they prepare you for moments like that, like how to act professionally and how to, just put your best foot forward when given the opportunity. So that was in 2004, and here we are 2018, and it wasn't just a little gig, it's my career now. That's how it happened. Yes.
Hi, I have 2 questions, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is, you've been both the voice actress and the director for like shows like Aura and stuff.
Yeah.
So how would you find doing the dual roles?
Okay, that's your first question?
Yeah.
All right, is the second question related?
It's again about Aura, and it's like, what was your favorite blooper from it?
Okay. So do you mean what's it like directing and acting in the same show? Okay. That was for Oron playing Haruhi and directing. It was the first time I had ever directed myself long term. I think maybe I did it once before for an episode of something else because of circumstances. But this time around, I was very nervous and apprehensive because Oron was a big show that everybody knew it was a big deal, and I felt very honored to be directing it because that's what I wanted more than anything. I've been hoping that Funimation would license the show. From the minute I saw it, I was always knocking on doors being like, have you heard of the show Oron? Do you think we could get it? And then we did, and then they told me I was directing it, and I was over the moon about it. And it was never my intention to get the show so that I could be Haruhi. I really wanted to direct the show because I loved the show and felt like I could do it justice as a director. And playing Haruhi just kind of happened after we had the auditions and I wasn't really hearing exactly what I needed. I thought maybe I could do it. So I laid down an audition of my own and listened to the ensemble of characters, just had to be objective, pretend like that voice I was hearing was not Caitlin, but some person playing Haruhi, and I thought, I think that this is a good ensemble. And my boss and producer at the time, Mike McFarland, who's also in Oron, he plays Ranka Fujioka, Haruhi's dad, he said that in order for him to like sign off on my cast, he would have to hear me perform the entire first episode. So I actually had it more difficult than any other actor auditioning. They come in and they say 5 sentences as a character, get the part or don't get the part. I had to perform the entire episode to prove to him that yes, I could have the role, because he felt like he would have to back me up should anybody say, oh, Caitlin, she just cast herself as the lead. So it was hard. It was really hard to know how to, like what to focus on, how to let go of kind of my insecurities about a voice that was new to me. I'd never played this androgynous type role before. But I'd say by about episode 10 is where I really hit my stride, and I remember very clearly not worrying about the voice anymore. At that point, I felt like I had it. I could play Haruhi in my sleep, and it's really fun. Directing yourself, I think, is fun. Plenty of directors don't like to do it because they don't want people to assume they're casting themselves in roles. But I really enjoy it for the sake of saving time. When I'm directing another actor, if they do something, I don't want to say wrong, but I need to make adjustments, there's the time spent explaining to them what they need to change, hoping the next time around they take those directions well and we can move on. But it could take 2 to 3 back and forth conversations before we get it just right. And usually you work on 2 to 3 what we call cues at a time. And a cue could be a sentence, it could be 5 sentences. But when you're directing yourself, you already know the episode. So you don't have to, Caitlin doesn't have to explain to Caitlin, okay, in this scene, Haruhi is going to the grocery store. There's none of that. It's just the engineer cues it up. I'll preview it very quickly. And as much as I can see on the screen, I'll record. And I have what's it called? A Bluetooth mouse. I could scroll in the studio if I wanted. We could just record 10 minutes if I wanted to. And then I don't have to explain to Caitlin what she needs to do differently. Oftentimes while I'm working, I know what I do incorrectly. And when the line's over, if I'm waiting for my next line, say I've got 10 seconds, I'll go ahead and do what's called a wild and make a correction to what I did wrong before. And then the engineer can go in and cut that out and put it where it goes. It's pretty amazing. So directing yourself saves a lot of time, unlike that answer, which is very long, sorry. And then you said a favorite blooper? Yeah. Gosh, there's so many, and I'm so glad that they're on YouTube for all the world to see. Officially on YouTube from Funimation. Thanks, Funimation. A lot of them revolve around me. I have food in my mouth, so I struggle saying lines with food in my mouth. Well, those are fun. Okay, the character with the fewest lines in the whole show is Mori Senpai, Travis Willingham, and Travis is a big, tall guy, and it's so funny that he plays Mori, who hangs around with Honey, the tiniest, cutest, adorable thing, because Travis, as a human, loves tiny, cute, adorable things, and he just turns into like a little ball of pudding if you show him like a cute kitten or something like that. So he could not keep it together in the episode in Karuizawa where he and Honey are following Haruhi and Hikaru around on their date, and Honey dresses up like a little old man selling ice cream, and he's horrible. It's a terrible disguise, and Mori comes in and just clotheslines him to get him out of the way. And Travis, also being a former football player, like American football, just thought that was hysterical, and he could not stop laughing. So I think that's a blooper in there of him just over and over trying to say his one-word line, and he couldn't say it because Honey's just too cute. So, good question. Back here.
Hi. Did you ever audition for a part, but you ended up getting another part during the actual end product of a TV show or an anime movie or anything?
Yeah, all the time. That's how it happens a lot. So in anime, at least at Funimation, we can go in, they call in actors for auditions, but not necessarily for certain roles, just for a show. So you show up and you look through this book of all the characters that are in the show and you pick the ones that you want to read for. And oftentimes the director leaves a note in the book that says there are more characters in the series than are represented here. You will be considered for roles that you don't read for. So not everybody can play the lead, and maybe they only have 4 females to choose from, but there are 12 females in the show. Characters that they don't show up for a long time, so we don't have a script yet, so we don't have an audition yet. So yeah, it's really quite normal to get cast as someone that you don't read for. It's so normal that I couldn't even choose a time that it happened because it happens all the time. So that's a good question. Where did you go, Fiona? Back there.
But I can't find anyone else who's...
Oh, who's got questions? Raise your hand. Right there, Haruhi here in the front.
Ooh, I miss Haruhi.
Has a question.
Sorry,
and
Haruhi,
then
so quiet.
I'll answer hers, and you can come get a question from you.
Who's been your
your favorite character to voice?
A favorite character to voice, and not just because you're dressed as her, is definitely Haruhi, because she's one of a kind. There aren't any other Haruhis in anime. A lot of other characters are sort of archetypal or stereotypical, and you'll see the student body president in this show or in that show, or the girl next door in this show or that show, but there's only one type of Haruhi character, so I loved getting to play her. Yes?
What was your introduction to anime?
Oh my goodness. Probably when I was a kid and I didn't even know that what anime was. Seeing something like Speed Racer on TV, probably. I didn't know that it was anime. Another show that I loved watching was called Grimm's Fairy Tales, and I didn't know that it was anime until I was working in anime and I met a director named Tony Oliver who worked on that show back when I was a kid. So I went, that was anime? Oh my goodness. So that was one where I always watched it every time I could. And then I knew it was anime in high school. I had some friends in theater that were into Sailor Moon, and that's what really got me hooked on the whole thing once again. So thanks. Where'd you go again?
Just a couple of things, since I've noticed you're wearing an England shirt. At half time, you'll be happy to hear they're winning.
They are, I know. I watched a bit of it backstage.
5-0, by the way.
5? What happened? The last I saw, well, my phone's a little bit behind, so I saw the penalty from Kane.
A couple of penalties,
Yeah.
by the looks of it.
Yeah. Tony, is it 5 or 4? He doesn't know? Wow. My husband's back there.
Yeah.
We match. So he came over at the half.
The other thing is, what was your introduction to the role of Cammy White, and how did you get the role?
Oh, thank you. Also, when I was a kid, I used to play Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2 was really fun. I did not have a Nintendo at home, but my mom worked at like a regular department store type place, and I'd go to work with her, and upstairs in the employee lounge, there was a Super Nintendo, and that's where I would sit and play Street Fighter 2 all day long. So in 2007 or 8, an audition came my way for Street Fighter 4, but it was so top secret because at the time there hadn't been a new Street Fighter game in about 10 years. So we had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and there you get the side, which those are the lines you're going to say, and because I knew Street Fighter, even though it didn't say Cammy White, it said by the book British Fighter, and then you start reading these things, and I'm like, spiral arrow, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, and at the bottom is a tiny little picture of Cammy, and I went, oh my gosh, it's a Street Fighter, oh wow, okay. But a lot of other actors at Funimation received the same auditions, though none of us read for the same characters, which was nice. I think there were some other actresses, but no one else read for Cammy. They read for some of the other females in the game. So in my side, there was Cammy and Chun-Li and I think Sakura. And I read for all of them, but I thought if I get any of these, it'll probably be Sakura because she's like an anime character and I know how to do that. And I knew that the game was being made in Los Angeles, and I thought, you know, there are real British actors in Los Angeles, so surely one of them will get the part of Cammy, but I'm going to audition for it anyway because it will be fun. And wouldn't you know it, that's the part that I got, and that was probably one of my first like full circle moments in voice acting, to get to be a part of something that I enjoyed as a kid. So now I've been playing Cammy for 10 years, maybe 4 or 5 iterations of the game, and I hope to keep at it. Thank you.
I'm not sure if anyone's asked this, but how did you start voice acting, and what would be your advice for any aspiring voice actors today?
Sure. Someone did ask it, but I'll give you the short version. I was a theater student, and on a tour of Funimation, because the studio's in the same general vicinity as my university, I got an on-the-spot audition and was hired. Just like that. But I say that, I was hired to play a bit character in one episode of a show, but I sort of arrived at just the right time, because before that, Funimation was known for Dragon Ball Z, and they were working on regular Dragon Ball GT that no one likes to talk about. And maybe they had started Fruits Basket and Blue Gender, but seriously, you could count Funimation's titles on 2 hands at that time. And then they got a show called Case Closed, Detective Conan, but we call it Case Closed. And I got in on the ground floor of Case Closed, where it went from, it was a show that has about 5 main characters, and every episode has a dozen other people that will only be there for that one episode. So Funimation needed to grow their talent pool exponentially, and I just showed up at the right time. So, but it's not like having a normal job where it's like, now I'm part of the Funimation actor company and I will be in everything. Not at all. I got that gig, and then maybe a couple weeks later I got to come in and be a background person and say ow and ah, you know, whatever. It wasn't for another 6 months. That's how long it was until I got like a first big deal named character lead role in something. And then after that, maybe by the fall of that same year is when I got Winry in Fullmetal Alchemist. So as far as how to become a voice actor, everyone's journey is different, especially now, 15 years later, when the English speaking anime industry has grown so much. So it used to be, go to college, get a degree in theater, get an agent. Your agent will get you auditions, and hopefully you become a voice actor. But now there are a lot of people set out to be just voice actors. I still say go to school, get a degree, because all that's important. And you're gonna learn so many more things as a human being in college besides the acting skills that you'll need to go become a professional. But best of luck to whoever is attempting this feat. Back here.
If you could like voice act any other character from Danganronpa besides Kirigiri, who would it be and why?
Any other character? Probably Junko. If I could be anyone else in Danganronpa, it would be Junko. Because it's so extreme. She gets to play so many different things and have so many different voices for one character. I love that. It's kind of a theme with me. You'll hear me talk about it often. I love characters that have a dual personality, so you get to have more than one voice for the same character. It's really fun. In the back? Yeah? Hello again. Hi!
Are there any characters that you voiced that you would really like to cosplay? Or any characters in general that you've not voiced that you'd like to cosplay in the future?
Characters I'd like to cosplay. Probably Maki from Love Live. I would love to cosplay her because she has so many different looks. It would be really fun. Though I have cosplayed Yo Watanabe from Love Live Sunshine, which is a show that I directed because Yo is my favorite. And also because my friend had the costume, so she just loaned it to me. So that made it easy. But I wore it for Halloween at Funimation one year and won like a fan award. They let the fans vote on our costumes. So I felt very good about that. Someone I wouldn't like to cosplay, probably Cammy White. That's a little too revealing for me. Where'd you go? There we are.
What's your favorite Fullmetal Alchemist character besides Winry?
Oh, that's a great question. My favorite FMA character besides Winry is Alphonse. I love Alphonse, and I remember auditioning for Fullmetal Alchemist and Winry. Oh, to answer your question, I didn't audition for Winry. Winry was not listed in the sides. The female characters were Hawkeye and Rose, and I think that's it. Maybe Trisha, maybe their mom. But because of my audition for Rose, I got the part of Winry because it's a similar voice. But the character that I loved the most was Alphonse. At the time, they were having ladies read for the part of Alphonse and possibly even Edward, because in the Japanese, they're both played by females. And I thought, man, I love this character so much. I'd love to play him. It didn't work out that way, but I still have a soft spot for him.
Hi, have you ever been starstruck working with anyone?
Have I ever been starstruck working with anyone? You know what? A little bit lately, and I'm so surprised to say it. I would not expect this at all because it's an actor that I've known for many years, and we've been in shows together, but never recorded. It's Johnny Young Bosch. I don't know if you know Johnny Young Bosch. Yay, Johnny! I met him my very first convention I ever went to before Full Metal Alchemist even came out in English. And I didn't go to the convention as a guest. I went as an attendee to see what is this convention thing all about. And it was in Dallas, where I live, so no big deal. And somebody on the panel, I think it was probably Vic, happened to mention, oh, and Caitlin, she's the voice of Winry. You don't know who she is yet, but you will. She's in the audience. And everyone went, and turned around and looked at me. People wanted my autograph. And I went, you haven't even heard me do the thing yet, but okay. Anyway, I digress. At this convention were a lot of actors that I knew, their voices, of course. One was Johnny, another was Steve Bloom, and because I got kind of roped into hanging out with all of the guests because I was also a voice actor. So that was, 14 years ago. That's when I first met Johnny. I'd see him around. We've been at plenty of conventions. We've been in shows together, but he lives in Los Angeles, and I'm in Dallas. So paths didn't cross all that often. Fast forward to now. You're like, yes, please, Caitlin, get to the point. And now I'm directing all of the titles for Free, the fun swimming anime. So I didn't direct seasons 1 and 2, but they're 4 movies, and I just finished them. And Johnny plays Makoto, who's a lead, one of the main characters. And to direct him, I was very nervous because I feel like he's been doing this longer than I have, and I think I've been doing this a pretty long time. Even directing, I've been directing a long time. That he is so good. He's just so good. He is really focused on every little thing that the character is doing, small, tiny movements that they make with their body or their face, and he catches all of them. And if I don't, he made me be a better director. I think we work so fast nowadays that I could miss things. But Johnny, he was on it. He's so focused. So if he did a take and everything to me sounded good, he'd be like, can I do this again because I saw this little thing or that little thing? And I'd be like, oh, I'm so terrible. I need to pay more attention. But to me, pretty much anything he says is just gold. It's perfect. He's perfect. And he's a fabulous human being. So if you ever get a chance to meet him, please do. He's a great guy.
Two little questions for you. The first is, if you had to go to the host club, which host would you want to hang out with?
Absolutely Kyoya. Absolutely Kyoya. Oh my goodness. That would, yes, hands down.
And the second is, if you're in a Persona game, which Persona kind of world would you want to go into?
I'm afraid I don't know much about Persona at all. But Cherami's here, so I'll say whatever world Cherami's character is in. How's that? I'm so sorry. It looks really cool, but I don't know anything about it. There.
Hello again.
Hi again.
Is it? Since you were talking about directing certain animes, was there a specific anime that you went, I really want to direct that, but I don't know if I'm going to get it, or somebody else has taken it already?
Well, Oron, I mentioned that earlier, was that way, because back then it was a different system. Every director and producer worked contract, so you never knew from show to show, am I going to have work for the next 6 months as a director? Who knows? And I was still fairly new, and I thought, why should they give me this Oron show, because it is a pretty big deal. So the fact that I got it was awesome. Nowadays, the directors, the majority of us are salary. We have a full-time 40-hour-a-week job. So every season we're sent a list of titles that we will be acquiring, or we think we'll be acquiring, and all of the directors just kind of throw our names in a hat for the ones that sound interesting to us. We send the producers our list of top 3, and then also maybe if there's anything we just don't want to work on. For me, I would hate to work on like a military show. It's just not I feel like that's just above my head. I'm like, no. Or anything too etchy, right? I'm like, no, thank you. So you send them that list, and then it's up to the producers to decide. So about every 3 months, I have am I going to get to work on what I want to work on, or what I have to work on? So, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything recently. No, there hasn't been too much. Like, I'll be really sad if I don't get to do fill in the blank. Fortunately, for the last 3 or 4 years that I've been directing at Funimation, the shows that come out are very obviously something that should go to me for some reason. For example, when we got Love Live Sunshine, I wrote and was in the first Love Live, and really nobody else in the building as a director knew anything about it, so I should work on that one. So I don't know what's going to happen next season. We shall see. We shall see. Not sure what I get to work on. I'll find out when I get home. Where'd you go, Fiona? Hello.
Hi. When you see conventions like this and people cosplaying your characters, what are your overall thoughts on it?
I think it's so fun. I think it's really great. I love it. I've always loved it. What a wonderful way to express like your love of a character and a show. It's perfect. It's great. Where are we? Behind the pillar somewhere. Hi.
Hi. What was your experience voicing in Fire Emblem Echoes?
That was great. I loved getting to be a part of Fire Emblem. I mentioned yesterday that that was one of my only times to be requested for a character because of previous work. So I worked with Nintendo on Xenoblade Chronicles DX, and because of Elma and that, they asked for me to come on and be Matilda, and I'm so glad, because to me it seemed like just a day's work. Seriously, that's a kind of a trite saying, all in a day's work, but really I did all of Matilda in one day. So to know that so many people really love her as a character means a lot, and I think it's really special, and the art's beautiful, and yeah, it's great. Thanks for playing.
Hi again. Hi. Are you good friends with any of the Oran voice actors?
I'm good friends with most of the Oran voice actors. Yeah, Vic, Todd, Greg, Lucy, Travis, Michael, all of them. They're all my friends. And Monica, on a regular basis, the ones I see the most would be Monica, who's Renge, and J. Michael Tatum, who's Kyoya, because they live in Dallas. Greg Ayers lives down in Houston, which is about 5 hours away. He comes up to Dallas every week or so I see him. But now Todd Habercorn and Vic and Travis, they're all in Los Angeles. And Lucy's in Houston, but she comes up to do My Hero Academia every couple of weeks. So yeah, I see all these people all the time. And after all these years, it's great that we're still friends. Yeah.
Hi. What was your experience with My Hero Academia, especially with doing it quite often? Because with the announce of the same time as Japan and things like that.
Yeah.
Must have been quite busy, especially for producers and writers and translators and stuff in the studio.
It's really crazy. Thankfully for me, because I'm Mina, I don't have too much to say very often. But the good thing about playing her is that because I'm a director, I'm in the building all the time anyway. So they don't have to worry about, oh, how are we going to get Caitlin in to say Mina? Unless I'm in another country, like now. There's no problem. But it is tricky doing what we call day and date. So it comes out in English on the same day as it comes out in Japanese in Japan. We've had some struggles, and mainly that has to do with when we get materials from Japan. They are working up to the last minute, right, into the 11th hour in Japan. So if they're making changes, we need to get those changes. So that's why sometimes we intend to do day and date, and then a couple weeks later, we can't keep up with that. And I don't mean it to shake my finger at Japan. I totally understand. It's a hard thing to accomplish. So one of these days we'll get it, and it'll happen seamlessly for an entire season. For now, we're going to keep trying. And yeah, I hope that you're enjoying getting to see it so soon. Oh, hello.
What's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon is my Pokemon. I'm Deoncy, and why wouldn't you want to be a Pokemon that shoots pink diamonds, am I right? Yes, she's adorable. She's a princess, she shoots pink diamonds. That's it, there's nobody else to be.
Are there any fairy tale characters you absolutely adore or any that you can't stand?
Who do I adore? Elfman, of course, of of course. Who can I not stand? Who is it that Evergreen hates? Oh, Urza. Yeah, don't like her. She thinks she's the fairy queen. Nonsense. That's me. Other questions? Just like raise your hand whenever and Fiona will find you. Okay.
Were you surprised by how popular My Hero Academia has become, and who's your favourite character apart from Mina?
I'm not at all surprised at how popular it's become. I think we all knew when it rolled around. I knew within 10 seconds of watching it, and hardly any sound had happened yet, because Studio Bones just have an amazing style. Granted, the story came from a manga first, but just the way they're able to take something off of a page and animate it, I think they're just one of the best. They did it with Oron, they did it with Full Metal Alchemist, they did it with Soul Eater. So there was no question in my mind when they said, we're getting this show called My Hero Academia, it's going to be like the next big thing. And I'm like, who's making it? Studio Bones. Of course it's going to be the next big thing. So I think the combination of the amazing story and so many characters and the studio behind it, yeah, it's a big success. Characters I love besides Mina. Oh, I need to watch more of the show, I'll be perfectly honest. I'm pretty busy with the shows I'm directing, so I don't get to watch the shows that everybody's in. Trying to think of characters that really make me laugh a lot. Monica Rial plays Suyu or Froppy, and she's fantastic. She's so great. And everybody hates Mineta because Mineta is awful, but I really enjoy him because of Brina Palencia's voice as him cracks me up. And it also is really funny how much people just hate him. They hate him. I don't know why I'm amused by that, so I like them.
Hi there. I was wondering, are there any characters that you haven't voiced or acted as in any form of media that you would particularly like to play?
Yeah, we mentioned yesterday that about 12 years ago I was Wonder Woman at a theme park. And I fell in love with the character of Wonder Woman, so I would love to get to voice her someday. Maybe they'll make a Wonder Woman anime in Japan, and it'll come to Funimation. That would be super cool.
What is your favorite Oran episode?
Oh man, it's so hard to answer because I'm the director, so I have a great attachment to many episodes for a variety of reasons. But episode 10 is high on the list, so I'll just go with that one. I mentioned that that's kind of where I feel I hit my stride with the voice, so perhaps that's why I like the episode so much, but it was very special to have an episode. That's where you first meet Haruhi's dad. They come to her house. She does not want them there, but there they are. And I love the episode. I love that now everyone is in Haruhi's environment and she has to deal with them and how they all behave, and meeting Ranka for the first time. And Mike McFarland is a good friend of mine, and it was really great to direct him as my dad. It's a strange thing to be close friends with someone. Mike lost his father since he and I have been friends, so there was just something really just intangible that I can't quite explain about those moments. I was in tears by the end of it when he's delivering Ranka's lines about being Haruhi's father when he's watching her in the grocery store and all that stuff. So that episode's very, very special to me. Other favorites, episode 17, when they go with Kyoya to the department store. It's Haruhi and Kyoya at the mall. Is hysterical because I love Kyoya. And then also episode 24, again a Kyoya-centric thing, and then Kyoya met him, the Tamaki and Kyoya episode. So Haruhi's not even in that. That one's really a tour de force for Michael Tatum. So those are my favorites.
I feel like I'm answering so many questions, I'm sorry. I got roughly 2 questions. I hope it's okay. By the way, yesterday, thank you very much. It was lovely meeting you at the signing. I was Kakata Sakura yesterday. And you said something about your director, Kakata Sakura. What is considered your favorite character of Kakata Sakura?
I love love Caro. I think Caro is my favorite character in Cardcaptor. I did not actually watch Cardcaptor Sakura when it came out when I was a kid, because I wasn't a kid. When it came to the States, I was already, I think, in college. And I'm like, this is for children, especially what they did to it when they put it on American television. I don't know how it ended up over here, but it got cut up and they tried to make Shaoran the main character, and it was extremely westernized, and so I didn't like it then. But it was cool to be a part of it now, and Caro is my favorite because I like the funny characters.
Kind of the opposite. I actually love Yuri Moon. I don't know how that happened, but I just thought, wow, he's a beautiful gay angel.
Yeah, he was beautiful.
And my last question is completely unrelated, but kind of related. What was your funniest memory when you went to a con, especially with the other fellow con attendees?
Oh gosh. Oh, there's so many, because we have been going to conventions with everybody for so long. One time, I don't know that this is my favorite, it's just a memory that comes to mind. One time I was at a convention in Washington, D.C., and Greg Ayers, as I mentioned, he is also a DJ. So he was on stage DJing the dance. In the States, we always have dances, like raves at our conventions. I don't know if they do that here, but we always do. So Greg was the DJ, and he would have any of the other guests that felt like dancing to be on the stage with him so we wouldn't get mobbed or bothered out in the crowd. And I was up on stage dancing with Crispin Freeman. Do you guys know Crispin?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think Crispin did it. He would probably say that I did it. Tripped one of the chords and all the power went out. Like on the stage, all the music, all the lights, everything. It's just dark and soundless. And we're like, oh no! There's a picture of us, like Crispin, who's super tall, like looking down at me and pointing, and me looking and pointing. We're pointing at each other. Like, he did it, it wasn't me. But Greg was really sweet about it. Like, nothing was broken or shorted. We just plugged it back in and waited for everything to work again. And yes.
Hello, sorry I'm asking another question.
Oh, no, it's fine.
And I also want to say thanks for being so nice yesterday.
Why would I be anything but nice?
I was the Tamaki, by the way.
Oh, cool. What's your question?
Is it ever weird, like, hearing people, like, doing voice impressions of real characters? Like, say if you, like, because, like, and myself included, I love doing voice impressions of characters. Have you ever, like, heard people trying to do impressions and, like...
I don't hear people trying to sound like me too much, but they'll be the character, which I think is better. I think that's much better. Like, because perhaps my voice brought the character to life for you, but I think if you are cosplaying Winry or cosplaying Haruhi, you should make them sound like them. I don't know, this is really weird. But no, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, but not too many people come up to me and say, listen to me, I can sound like you. No one's really said that. I'd be curious, though, if they wanted to try. What else? Here's one. There's a couple over on this side. Oh, and right here, too. Let's do right here, and then you can head over there.
You mentioned that you're doing more and more directing work now in the voice acting work. Do you find that it's, in comparison to like Western media, where there's now this real push for female-directed content, has there always been, is it fairer in voice acting?
Right. I don't think that it was ever unfair, like women weren't directors because they're women. I think perhaps women weren't directors for lack of like an opportunity and a willing person who said, hey, I want to do that. But I know back before I was a director, Colleen Klinkenbeard started directing at Funimation on Full Metal Alchemist, and now she's the director of My Hero Academia, has directed me through the years. Mary Elizabeth McGlenn directed Cowboy Bebop. So I feel like there have always been people to look up to in the industry. Though perhaps now when studios or companies are looking for a director, maybe they go looking for females. And I think that that's smart. Not that there aren't competent males who can do it too, but I think that they're, obviously when you look around the room, it's a pretty fair split here, male to female. So girls like cartoons too, and we know how to run the show. So yeah, hopefully it is in my favor in years to come.
Do you have a favorite Disney film, and what is it?
My favorite Disney film is The Little Mermaid. And then my other favorite Disney film is Fantasia, actually. Yeah. The Little Mermaid is probably my favorite movie of all movies, not just Disney ones. And then I really enjoy Fantasia. I remember my mom taking me to see it in the theater when I was quite small. And that kind of started my love of classical music. So whenever I'm sad or sick, it's usually my go-to movie when I'm feeling ill. I'll put it on and watch it.
Hi, were you an anime fan prior to working for Funimation? And if so, what are like some of your favourite titles?
I was an anime fan, though I hadn't attended any conventions yet or anything. I mentioned that in high schools when I got into Sailor Moon, because it came out in Japan in like 1992 and then started being on American TV by 1996 or so. And friends in theater were into Sailor Moon, and that's what got me hooked on it. And then I went to college, and that was really the only anime that I watched was Sailor Moon and maybe whatever was on around Sailor Moon on TV at the same time. Then I went to college and got very busy with theater and being in plays and rehearsal and really no time for television or anything. And then I realized that I was getting a little too busy with that and I needed an escape. Which is what happens when the thing that you love and you're passionate about also becomes what you're pursuing for your career. It can kind of inundate your life and you start to not love the thing that you originally set out loving. So you need to find an outlet, an escape for a time. And I went, I was kind of into anime. Let's see what that's all about again. And I bought a magazine at a store that came with a DVD of free episodes of random stuff. So I would watch that and make sure to buy that magazine every month. And back when you could rent movies from a shop, there was a rental place near where I lived, and they had a massive anime collection. So I would just watch whatever they had in stock. So I watched Neon Genesis Evangelion, and now I'm in Neon Genesis Evangelion. Super weird. And I watched Magic Knight Rayearth and I voiced some of the characters from that in other Clamp iterations now. It's so weird how that all happened. So a favorite show that I'm not in is His and Her Circumstances is one of my favorites. It's still one of my favorites, and it has a great manga as well. And another favorite, I really love slice of life shows and school romance drama type stuff. Another favorite is Honey and Clover. So if you guys haven't seen it, oh my gosh, you have to see it, especially if you're artistic in any way. I saw it just out of college, and it's about a bunch of kids in college in art school, and so how the people that you create art with become your family, and what you struggle through in trying to find yourself and then get a job in your profession that is artistic and what that is all about. That's what it's about. It's a really, really great show, so please check it out. And there's a manga too. Where'd you go, Fiona? Hello.
Have you ever had a voice acting role that you ended up finding quite challenging once in it? And if so, what was it?
Challenging how?
Just the part give you a challenge, some form of a specific situation that you weren't really prepared for, or
okay, yeah. So more about the story, not so much physically challenging. Yes. I mentioned yesterday a show called Freezing, which is kind of a bit of an ecchi title. But I took it because I had just moved back to the States from Spain, and I didn't really have a lot of work at the time, and nobody else wanted to be in the show because it's a bit naughty. And I'd never done a show like that, and despite convictions otherwise, I took it because I wanted the acting experience of having to handle that type of content. I'm like, I don't really know what to do with that. Let's find out. Thankfully, my character, she's a very strong character, so that was a challenge for me. But later on, they made some OVAs for the show that really took it too far, in my opinion. But I'd already recorded 2 whole seasons of the show, so I didn't want to do it, but I also didn't want to put my director in a position of having to voice match me for one 10-minute episode of a thing. So I told him that I would only give him 1 take I'm like, I'm gonna do this one time and you just have to make it work. Thankfully, it worked out. But yeah, that was a challenge for me that I'm glad that plenty of people like the character, and I have nothing against anybody who likes the show. I mean, to each his own. I understand that, but I don't think I would do it again knowingly.
Hi. I was just wondering, what was like the most emotional character you've had to, like, in any anime? Like, what's the most emotional scene that you've had to do?
It would be Winry in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, in her confrontation with Scar. Is probably the most difficult thing emotionally that I've ever had to record. And if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil what it's all about for you, but it's pretty intense. And I also was the director of that episode, so I was in charge of myself and getting it all just right. But it was, it's a rough one. It's a rough one.
What Disney film would you like to voice act in?
What Disney film would I like to voice act in? Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think of stories that I love that haven't already been made into Disney things. Disney always dubs the Ghibli films, so I would love to, through Disney, be in a Ghibli movie, but I don't know that that would ever happen because they get Hollywood celebrities and stuff to be the voices. Not that you need to, it's Miyazaki. People are gonna go see it because it's Miyazaki, but that's fine. You can use famous people.
What's one of the oddest animes you think you've been in, but you've absolutely loved being in?
Oddest? Pop Team Epic. Pop Team Epic is a current show. Some people love it, some people hate it. I was only in it for a minute because if you don't know, it's based on like a 4-panel cartoon, like drawn cartoon, and the skit happens, it's 2 female characters, 2 female voice actors. Then you watch the same exact skit but with male actors playing those characters. And then there's also like a mutated version that makes absolutely no sense. And that's the episode. And each episode has 2 different actresses, 2 different actors. The only ones that stay the same are the guys who do the mutated, wacky, weird ones. So I'm in one episode. And in that episode, I'm like Elvis, I'm an airplane, there are cool runnings, jokes, it's just so off the wall. And they're singing. I just recorded some music for it as well, and we're hoping that it's going to be on television in the States, and it's super bizarre, and I hope you get to see it. Who else has questions?
I have one, I guess. How and when did you realize you were interested in directing?
I realized it quite soon because I started voice acting, as I mentioned, in early 2004, and I had graduated from college later on, and I missed the familial environment that you have, as I just mentioned, when you're studying an art in school. You see all the same people that you create art with every day, and then suddenly I wasn't at school anymore. And while those people are still my friends, I'm not hanging out in the green room with them for hours, going out to eat between class and rehearsal. So I missed that, but I felt that same type of family anytime I was at the studio. So I thought, how do I get to be here more? Because I can't really influence my casting, I just have to be cast. So I thought maybe I could direct. I know a lot about anime, I went to college, I directed plays in college, so let's see. So sometime in 2005, Vic Mignogna, bless his heart, I had talked to him just in conversation, as friends do, that I wanted to try this directing thing, and that my friend at the studio said that I needed to talk to this producer, but I was kind of nervous because I don't know him all that well, blah, blah, blah. We're sitting there at the break room at Funimation. As I say that producer walks by, who knows Vic well, and he's like, oh, hey Vic, hey Justin, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. Hey, by the way, have you got a minute? Says Vic. And Justin's like, for you? Sure. And Vic goes, no, not for me. It's for Caitlin. She wants to talk to you. And I'm like, what? I hate you so much right now. So on the spot, I had to go right then around the corner to Justin Cook's office and talk to him about directing and basically express my interest. And he goes, yeah, you could do it. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he assumed that I could, but he did. He just told me I needed to study on my own. I would not be paid to come in and sit with all of the directors. There's not a course at university on ADR directing. There might be at like a specialty sound school or something like that, a film school, but not a theater school. So that's what I did. I mean, I was a recent graduate. I had nothing else to do. So I came up and I'd sit in with director after director and learn what the job was like from their side of the microphone. I couldn't tell you how long I did that before they gave me my first directing work, which was also on Case Closed. So the first show I ever voice acted in was the first thing that I directed. Case Closed was long running, so there was not just one director. It'd be 4 episodes for this person, 4 episodes for that person. So I got 4 episodes of Case Closed to work on. And then I would help out other directors. They would be sick or gone to a convention, but work needed to continue, so I'd fill in for them. And my first full show of my own was in 2006, a sports anime called Suzuka. So, yay! I hope that answers it. Hi!
As a director, how's the introduction of simul dubbing affected the industry from your perspective?
Oh, we have to work so much faster. It's a lot more labor intensive. We put out 2 episodes a week. Each director does 2 episodes in a week. And that includes the reviewing of it. So you gotta record it all, review it once, it goes and gets mixed by a different engineer, and then you review it again, and then off it goes to be uploaded. There's very little wiggle room. Especially like if it airs, say, on a Saturday in Japan, I will have a script in English on Monday, and I get started, and by the following Monday, it needs to be finished and out of my hands. And that's just 1 episode. Each director works on 2 shows. So it's really hard, and we're working as hard as we can to make sure that we maintain the quality level that Funimation is known for. I think we pride ourselves in taking the dub, which most people think dubs suck, and we're like, no they don't, because we have raised the bar with shows like Full Metal Alchemist and or on High School Host Club and so many other things over the years. So we need to keep meeting our expectations and hopefully exceeding them under the circumstances, because we can't change the fact that this is the way the industry is. People want their content now. And if they can't get it now, they'll go seek it illegally or just go watch whatever they can find on YouTube or something like that. So it is hard. We're doing the best we can.
Is there a line in Full Metal Alchemist that made you cry with happiness?
I don't know. Well, maybe at the end of Brotherhood. I don't want to spoil that either, but things finally end the way they should. Let's just say that. And after so many years playing Winry, it was, oh man, it was great. It was so good to get to perform that final scene. So that was one. But I don't want to say the line because it'll spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it.
Okay, I think we might have reached the 2:30 point.
It is 2:30.
We could have one last sneaky question.
Any one last question? Is it good?
Are we good? I think. Oh no, it's 2 now.
He hasn't asked one.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with this one. Sorry, maybe you can ask after.
So you were talking about when you had your on-spot audition and bringing characters alive. What goes through your head when all you've got is a sentence and you don't know that character, you don't know anything about it, but you've got to make it live right now?
Sure. Thankfully, in the thing I was reading for, the character was just a voice off screen. It wasn't an image on screen. I didn't have a mouth to match or anything like that. They played it for me in the Japanese. All I knew is that's exactly it. The line has to be alive. So like a microphone, like here in this case, makes my voice louder so everybody can hear me. But a microphone, when we're recording something, it's the same as how a camera records you. It can't make up something that you don't give it. So I just used like my acting training, and I tried to not think about the fact that this is a cartoon and here's this microphone. It's more like, for some reason, this person on stage is saying this, so I have to live it, this one sentence, and there you have it. I think that's kind of the difference between actors that come into voice acting that have a stage background or a film background. They understand what it is to make a character be alive. And other people maybe come in from a voice acting perspective because they want to be an anime character. And that's totally different.
Okay, right. I think we'll have to draw this Q&A to a close, but
it's all right.
Thank you very much, Caitlin, for answering all of our questions.
Thank you guys. This has been a wonderful convention, and I'll see you at, if you paid for a professional photo, I think I'm doing that at 3.
Yes.
Yeah, and then my last signing of the weekend will be at 4 with Jeremy right over there. So I hope to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.